Hey folks, we're up here in New Hampshire. We've got the M&P Core 9mm 4¼ inch barrel. We've just mounted the Trijicon RMR 3 MOA and we're going to put the gun to the test. I shot the red dot a bit last night on the indoor range and was very impressed with how it performed, how rugged it is, and how much difference it makes in terms of quick sight acquisition. It is certainly different than iron sights, and there is a training curve that I'm going through right now, just figuring out how I manage that and how I consistently perform with something that's just different from what I know now as home base. So we're going to do some different drills today and give you guys a perspective. We're going to start with some accuracy testing and just to give me a little warm up on the trigger, and then we'll move from there. Or 4.78, so that was better. So we're 7 yards from our target, and again, the Trijicon RMR sight allows you to control the amount of red dot that's showing through this. So don't know if you can see it there, but as we look through, what I'm seeing is a nice clear aiming point, that red dot, similar to what I run on my AR with the aim points. So I'm looking down here, I'm seeing the red dot, and I'm pressing my shot. So what's different is the fact that you've got a lot of movement. When you have a long gun, when you're running an aim point on a long gun, it's much more stable. On a handgun, you're seeing a lot of that movement. As a result, it's somewhat disconcerting, and it really takes the discipline of just pressing the trigger straight back when you have that sight picture where you want it, rather than waiting for the perfect sight alignment with the red dot, because the red dot, wherever it is in that glass, is pretty much where it's going to hit on the target. So I was shooting, as quickly as I could see the red dot. Again, they're all right in here. So I think as I get used to it, got a couple of flyers down here, but basically right in here. So I'm going to make a slight adjustment and bring our point of impact up just a tad at this distance and see if I like that any better. Okay, I made that adjustment, and I'm much happier with where the gun is shooting. So I've just been shooting now center mass area of our target, just getting them as quickly as I see the red dot. And once I see the red dot, then I'm pressing. Very similar to shooting an aim point, with the exception of there's a lot more movement and dance on the sight itself. So there we have it there. We're shooting in the center of our target, shooting relatively quickly. Every time I could see the red dot, I was simply pressing a shot. From that standpoint, I think it's getting a little better. Again, nothing against the red dot or the setup. I'm really liking the gun, but I've just got to relearn sight acquisition. I'm so used to going to the front sight that it's just different to see that red dancing around in my sight picture there. Looks pretty good. 7 yards away, a little bit better group here, within about an inch. And there you see it. So I just have to make a windage adjustment and move my windage to the left a bit, which is very simple to do on this. You can see there is a screw, and it says to the right, to the left, right, to the right. I move it counterclockwise if I want my impact, but I'm going to move it actually clockwise about 3 clicks to change the point of impact to the left. So that seems to be working pretty well. I'm starting to get the feel for it. Again, need a lot more practice. I figure it's going to take another 400, 500 rounds before I really start locking in and feeling comfortable with this setup. But the gun itself and the design allowing this red dot to be placed right on the gun, right out of the box, is really one that I think makes a lot of sense. One great thing about this red dot sight is that you've got a big block to clear a malfunction with. You simply hit across the top, and I'll tell you, you don't have to grasp the slide, so there's some advantage to that. In addition, if I had to, I can also clear the gun here on my holster much easier than I could if I were, if I were just using the block sights. So that's something to think about. That is an advantage of the red dot optic. So I just cranked up, I was shooting a really low light setting. I just cranked it up quite a bit. And now I've got a much bigger dot. And so for, combat effective shooting for this close in kind of distance, we're just going for a gross center mass area. I've cranked up the red dot a fair amount. And I can go even further. And so what I'm seeing at that point, and I doubt, let's see if you can get this out here. It's well, folks, that's it. That's a quick look at the Smith & Wesson M&P Core. Again, Core stands for Competition Optic Ready Equipment. And this setup allows you to attach different red dots. In this case, we have the Trijicon RMR 3 MOA, which is just fantastic. I really like it. I'm very impressed with this gun. My only knock on the gun is that the trigger is not as nice as it should be, in my opinion, for what the gun costs. There are better out-of-the-box triggers, and I think Smith could do a better job. I will have it polished up. I will have the reset assist mechanism by Apex installed, and that should correct my issues with the grittiness of the trigger and lack of reset. I do think red dots are a great thing and a great tool to use on pistols. Again, I'm relatively new to it. I expect that I'm going to have to shoot another, well, probably 400, 500, maybe 1,000 rounds to really feel confident in my performance versus my iron sights, which I'm so comfortable with. So other than that, which I think is a great thing, right? More training time, we all need it. I think this will be an excellent gun, and I'm really excited to be shooting it. I want to thank all of you for watching, and as always, stay